Guillermo. Emil, Amok to you. We are on at a strange time because I've got something to do. Doing a lot of dental work. And it's weird because people come and I put my hands in their teeth. No, I'm having the work done. I'm not doing the work. But it's a good idea just to get stuff out of the way and then I'll repeat it. This is show 613. If you missed 612, 612 was an interesting show. I talked about Thanksgiving. I talked about my cousin Stefan. I mean, some people don't know the Stefan story. The Stefan story is a big story, and it really has defined a part of my life from 2014 on. He would have been 36 yesterday. He was murdered in 2014. The murderer was let go. Nothing we could do. Gun laws what they are here in the United States and specifically in California, which really it's all of the United States. And so check out the ALDEF blog, aaldef.org/blog, also theinquirer.net, the Philippine Inquirer global website. I talk about the diaspora also in the piece as it pertains to the hostage situation, and more hostages apparently coming out today. But this is going to be a regular thing where ceasefire extended, hostages released. It's now a real poker game. It's always been, but more poker game now than all out war because no one wants war. We shouldn't. But now we got to figure out how to how to get to peace in a way that works for everyone. And I know that there's a breakthrough because a friend of mine who is in Israel, who we're not in disagreement, but he's obviously pro-Israeli, Filipino American, not coming home, digging in, um, and he. Oh, I gotta. When the music stops, my thoughts stop. That's not true, but I like the music. The point is, we have come to some kind of conclusion. And I think this is maybe the ultimate point or pathway to peace, where we can all agree that Hamas must go. So, how does Hamas go? I think it means Hamas and Netanyahu must go. We all also agree on that. So, I think we'll probably have, my friend says, a few more months of this kind of tension. But I think everyone sees where this is going. The serial government of Netanyahu must end, and the governing of Gaza by Hamas must end because at some point they were just enablers. It's like one was addicted to the other and it didn't serve the broader population that wants peace. So that's my take. I'll talk more about this. Check out my columns on the ALDEF blog, aaldef.org/blog. Also, uh, theinquirer.net. I've got another column coming out in the Oakland Post, but about something else. Hey, I do want to mention how I use Chat GPT. Is that a surprise to some of you? I mean, whether you like artificial intelligence or not, the fact is, Chat GPT, or not Chat GPT, but AI is kind of here to stay, and you use it. The question now is, how are we going to regulate this? And just to give you an example of how humbling Chat GPT and AI is, I asked ChatGPT to write an introduction that I would give to someone to introduce me when I give a speech. And this is what ChatGPT said. Introducing Emil Guillermo. I asked it to introduce Emil Guillermo at a speech. Here's the suggested intro. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct honor to introduce our esteemed speaker for today's event, Mr. Emil Guillermo. Emil is a celebrated journalist, writer, commentator, renowned for his insightful and thought provoking work. As a pioneer in Asian American journalism, he has blazed trails and opened doors using his voice to explore and illuminate. So that's what it's doing. It's exploring and illuminating a wide range of critical and complex issues. His groundbreaking work at NPR and his columns in various respected publications have not only earned him accolades, but have also sparked important conversations about race, identity, and social justice. Emil's unique blend of humor, honesty, and empathy has resonated with audiences nationwide. I didn't write this. This is Chat GPT. This is AI, making him a sought after voice in contemporary discourse. Oh, that's what this is. This is contemporary discourse. I'm on YouTube and no one's listening. This is contemporary discourse. Today, we are privileged to hear from Emil as he shares his perspectives and experiences. Please join me in welcoming the incomparable Emil Guillermo. Oh my God. This is the thing. As much as I dislike and I'm wary of ChatGPT and artificial intelligence, you get something like that, and that is really like low level artificial intelligence. But already it is smarter than I am. It is smarter than I am because it puts out an introduction that I couldn't have written about myself. I would have been too humble, I would have been, yes, I know humility is not my strong suit, but I would have been humble, so humble to not write something like that. That's the humanity that's missing from artificial intelligence. Indeed, it's not humanity. Indeed, it is a machine saying whatever you want it to. And then at some point, though, it is smarter than the people who are commanding it. And that's the problem. Anyway, I'm thinking a lot about ChatGPT. And I just wanted to share that with you as an example of what happens when it's smarter than we are and does things. And you say, well, what's wrong? I mean, it bloated you up, Emil. No, that's a problem right there in the nutshell with AI, artificial intelligence. It lacks the the humility that makes us human, that makes us likable. That that's when it hit me. So look for a future column on AI. Uh, I want to talk about animal rights in this. It's going to be a kind of truncated show. I mean, we're up and on, and we'll go for a little bit. Then I got to go. But I do want to mention how, if you want to talk about arts and letters by humans, not by machines, I am I am emceeing an event this weekend. It's Penn Oakland's big award ceremony, the 34th annual Penn Oakland Awards, and they award the Josephine Miles Award, which is an honor of distinction for outstanding literary achievement. And it takes from not just one group, or it's all of the entire spectrum of America's diverse literary community. So the Josephine Miles Award, named after a poet and former professor at UC Berkeley. That award will be announced. Also, other awards: the Adele Foley Award, a Reginald Martin Award for Excellence in Criticism, and the Reginald Lockett Lifetime Achievement Award. It's the 34th annual Pan Oakland Awards for 2023. Penn Oakland, called by the New York Times the blue collar pen. and it's free. It's at Rock Ridge in the Oakland Public Library. And Rock Ridge is sort of it's kind of my old stomping ground. I mean, if I have a place that would I call it home, really? I mean, there are places in Oakland where I've lived for an extended period of time. One is out there by in West Oakland, in the '80s, an old bungalow out there on like 34th. Yeah, I lived for a while. I was with friends there, and then for a while I worked in Rockridge, and so this event 2 to 5, December 2nd, Saturday, at the Oakland Public Library, 5366 College Avenue in Oakland. It's free and open to the public, so show up, come by. Penn Oakland, the 34th annual Penn Oakland Awards. I have the winners here. I'm not going to say who's won. They're going to announce the winners. Some big publishers, and yeah, I got a whole list of recipients here. I'm not going to say them. I'm not going to. But that's why you show up, to see who won the Penn Oakland Awards. And so it's at the Oakland Library, Rock Ridge, 5366 College Avenue, 2 to 5 on Saturday, December 2nd. So please come by. All right, so we took care of that. I want to talk about animal rights today, because one of the things about Thanksgiving is that one of the things I'm thankful for is that I'm not imprisoned. And one person that I know was imprisoned, an animal rights activist, Wayne Chung. Wayne was convicted by a jury before Thanksgiving and had to spend Thanksgiving behind bars in Sonoma County, the Sonoma County jail there. I mention him because he's an animal rights activist. He was put away for rescuing an animal that deserved to be rescued. And he writes about this in his blog called The Simple Heart. It's on Substack, and you should consider donating. Today, by the way, is Giving Tuesday. I know, did you get by Capitalist Hoarder Day Friday and Capitalist Hoarder Day Monday digitally? I mean, we broke all records, right? So everyone thinks the economy is lousy, except they are spendthrifts. They think that everyone's saying, "Oh, Joe Biden, oh, he's giving us a lousy economy," and we're spending through the roof. On all these. I agree. I mean, I'm one of those guys, but I think Joe Biden's done a good job. So that was Friday. That was Monday. This is Tuesday. It's Giving Tuesday. Give to your nonprofit of choice, your charity of choice. My nonprofit of choice is ALDEF, the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund, aldef.org/blog. And also PETA, I love People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, my two charities. But maybe you want to consider giving to The Simple Heart. It's a blog of Wayne Chung, an animal rights activist who is waiting behind bars in Sonoma County until they sentence him. His sentencing is on Thursday. And I want to read to you what he wrote in his blog today, because it's whether you're an animal rights person or not. This is a guy behind bars who is thinking out loud, whose thoughts help everyone if you're involved in a struggle. His struggle is animal rights, which is really an extension of human rights. Really not much different. Oh, I got to check. And I got to check this because sometimes I put the wrong microphone on. Ah, yes, and the wrong and
Now the microphone should sound better. You said, Emil, you sounded like crap before, and now you sound good. I apologize. Sometimes that happens when I switch machines here. So anyway, Wayne is he got a felony conviction for saving animals, and he's trying to be reflective. And whatever your issue is, I think you can learn. He says his sentencing is Thursday, November 30th, up in Sonoma County. And the judge in the Sonoma rescue trial will determine how long or how much of a possible 2-year jail sentence Wayne is going to have to serve. He's already served a couple of days. He's written about it in his Simple Heart blog, and it's really chilling, when you think of what it's like to be incarcerated. I've never been incarcerated. I have been detained in China, of all places. And I've been imprisoned in my mind, as many of us have, just by living in America. But I have not been physically imprisoned. So in the Simple Heart, Wayne Chung, animal rights activist who will be sentenced on Thursday, is waiting his sentencing. And he writes, he says, in the days before the verdict in Sonoma County, I wrote about what I called an asymmetry in stakes. Whether the jury found me guilty or otherwise, the movement, the animal rights movement, would benefit by building precedent if found not guilty, and by generating attention through my incarceration if guilty. So he saw it both ways, that it could be good and bad. And he's going to go whatever path is given to him. However, there's a very real and factual way in which my ultimate imprisonment makes no difference. Animals remain trapped in cages in Sonoma County either way. And this is Shung writing again. There are 1,200 human beings in cells at the jail in which I write these words. There are 200,000 animals in cages at a simple building at Sunrise Farms just minutes away. And across the country, or county, across Sonoma County, there are millions of cows, chickens, and other animals living in conditions that are too cruel for most people to even look at. From a more global perspective, my own confinement is mostly irrelevant. The question is, what happens next for all other animals living in cages? And here's the good news. I, Wayne Shung, believe what happens next could be transformative change, and our loss in court could fuel those efforts. Heads we win, tails the industry loses. The key is for the movement to understand the promising avenues for change and harness the energy from this verdict to push even harder for progress. Once again, this is Wayne Shung writing on the Simple Heart Substack blog. And he outlines 3 things. He says, number 1, banning factory farms on the ballot in Sonoma County. That's kind of like his next move. He says, I've expressed skepticism about ballot initiatives in the past. They rely on large-scale impersonal outreach to low-information voters. The result typically is that meaningful change is hard to achieve. Even once it's achieved, like California's Prop 2, it's even harder to enforce. The Coalition to End Factory Farming's ballot measure in Sonoma County, however, is changing my mind. Despite an ambitious and much-needed proposal, an outright ban on all so-called CAFOs, concentrated animal feeding operations, canvassers across the county have collected signatures with astonishing speed. As of this publication, 20,000 of the 30,000 needed by March 9th, 2024. Wayne Shung writes, the odds are stacked against the effort. The Farm Bureau is one of the most powerful. This is where the verdict can play a key role. Dramatic, compelling stories will be crucial. to counter the wave of paid advertising and media the industry will bring when the factory farm ban gets on the ballot. And what could be more dramatic and interesting than a man sitting in a cage due to the efforts to get animals out of cages? Everyone loves a good David and Goliath story. We should blanket the airwaves and social media with that story to bring an urgent human element to this fight. So this is Wayne talking. He says, there is nothing as I sit in this jail cell I would cherish more than a revitalized movement to ban factory farms. I've been willing to gamble my freedom on that prospect. I hope you will give up something, time, money, or a little social discomfort. So he's pushing for that new ballot initiative in Sonoma County. All right, then number 2, the right to rescue and the right to know. He points out to 2 upcoming right to rescue cases around the country, one in New York, where Tracy Murphy faces a theft charge for giving care to 2 cows who wandered onto her sanctuary. In Dane County, Wisconsin, Paul Picklesheimer and Ava Hamer face felony charges for giving aid to tormented beagle puppies, including a blind little girl we named Julie, taken from Ridgeland Farms. To sustain and support those defendants in the wake of the Sonoma verdict, it will be even more important for the movement to unify and show up to support. So a case in New York and a case in Wisconsin. And he says it will also be important for lawyers, scholars, and even everyday activists to look carefully at Sonoma, Wayne Chung's own case. Find out more at the Simple Heart blog. He says it's notable that all the open rescue convictions in U.S. history have been single defendant cases. He says maybe we needed multiple defendant cases. Better for the defense, especially when a hypothetical single defendant is a person of color. Because let's face it, when you're looking for justice, you're also fighting racism. So he talks about harnessing this power, all animal rights groups, and he mentions PETA, and he also mentions the Animal Legal Defense Fund, challenging unconstitutional ag-gag laws. Now, this is the truth. There are ag-gag laws where the farm and ag industry tries to prevent people from knowing what's really going on behind the closed doors to those animals. And those ag-gag laws must be fought. And third, Wayne Chung mentions he mentions maintaining movement unity. He says the great scholar of social movements, Charles Tilly, examined dozens of movements through history and identified a simple formula for those that had success. WUNC, worthy, unified, numerous, and committed. Now there's an acronym, WUNC, WUNC, worthy, unified, numerous, committed. Wayne Chung writes, the fight against animal abuse has all of these, save one, unity. And the problem with an ununified movement is twofold. First, it limits the movement's ability to capitalize on its full power. It was not until warring factions in the civil rights movement came together and marched on Washington that they achieved the Civil Rights Act of 1964. But second, and even more important, an ununified movement tends to waste its time attacking itself. This so-called narcissism of small differences, when we treat those who are slightly different from us with much more hostility than those who are completely exposed. It's one of the most common pitfalls in not just movements, but all forms of human social organization. Witness the infighting tearing the Republican Party apart. But it's particularly dangerous for social movements, which can evaporate as quickly as they form. And so Here is Wayne Chung. Wayne Chung, it's spelled Hsiung, Chung. And he's writing in The Simple Heart, it's a blog on Substack, talking about the lessons he's learning and ways to move forward in the animal rights fight. One that he has lost one stage as he tried to rescue. He was convicted of a felony rescuing animals in Sonoma County. He's awaiting his sentencing on Thursday to see how much of 2 years he's going to have to serve. But he does bring up some interesting points, that he is ready to see his freedom taken away as a potential catalyst to unify a movement and to bring about the kind of change that all people should want in the name of the animals. He said it's ridiculous that he's one man behind bars in a county prison that holds 1,200 human beings in cells. That's where he's writing these words. And that 200,000 animals are in cages at a single building at Sunrise Farms, just a minutes away in Sonoma County. But he's willing to put his freedom on the line to try to unite animal rights activists. So the words of Wayne Chung, if you're considering giving to a charity, of course, you can give to ALDEF, my favorites, and PETA. Consider giving to Wayne Chung at the Simple Heart, his blog. Like I said, he's going to get sentenced on Thursday. We'll follow. We'll see what happens. But I was thinking about Wayne all throughout the Thanksgiving holiday because he was there giving up his freedom. Well, he was forced into it. But I thought of him as I paid gratitude to the world, to all those in my life. And it's just sad. And I hope things work out for Wayne. And not just for Wayne, I hope things work out for the movement. The movement. Okay, one last thing, because I've got to scoot out of here. I may not have time, though, because I've gone now close to 28 minutes. I wanted to get to this yesterday. And that's this, they do these polls. And the Wall Street Journal and NORC came out with this poll. Let's go to the headline was "Worry Over Religious Prejudice Grows." The Israeli-Hamas war in the Middle East has sparked concerns about religious discrimination in the U.S., creating new fissures in a divided American electorate that could help shape next year's presidential election. I mean, it's true. Second graph. An equal share of Americans said both Jews and Muslims face discrimination, but a higher number of Democrats and younger voters are prejudice or see prejudice as a major problem for Muslims, according to a new poll by the Wall Street Journal and NORC and ORC. A higher number of Democrats and younger voters, they see it as a major. Everyone else is like, maybe. Yeah, Jews, and there's more discrimination, but even more if you're a Democrat, and maybe that's because that's where they are. The sensitive types are Democrats and younger people. Those findings, if they persist or harden, could have repercussions for President Biden's reelection. Young voters were a large part or key part of the coalition that Biden, a staunch Israel ally, built to capture the White House in 2020. among 18 to 34-year-olds, 44% said Muslims are subject to significant discrimination, while 33% said Jews are, according to the poll, which didn't find a gap among older respondents' views on the subject. That also skews from the overall population, in which 37% said prejudice is a significant problem for Jews, and 39% said the same for Muslims. The poll, conducted for the Journal by Nork at the University of Chicago from October 19th through 24th, has a margin of error of minus 4%. So this is going to be tricky how Biden maneuvers the hostage situation, how Biden maneuvers through all of this, ends the war. And I was reading a column today by Judith Rubin, who said maybe it's not wise for people who want a Palestinian nation to call for a ceasefire. That was Jennifer Rubin. Jennifer Rubin's column. I generally like her now that she's more liberal than conservative. She used to be way more conservative, but now she saw the light. But one of the things that comes out of that article is how Netanyahu and Hamas must go, and how most people who are mainstream observers of the situation see this, and maybe even President Biden for now. I mean, President Biden and the U.S., whether you know or not, we're in more control over that situation, because Netanyahu will do ultimately what the U.S. wants. But the U.S. doesn't meddle, but it's allowed Netanyahu to play this game where, he allows Hamas to take over in Gaza because they are good for each other. And so we're at a situation now where I think, as I said at the early part of the show, people, they see the dangers of Hamas, they see the dangers of Netanyahu, and that's the way that we can move forward and find a pathway to peace. We need to find a pathway to peace there, because now people are sensitive to it here, because we see in this survey, Democrats, younger people, they see the prejudice, racial, religious prejudice growing, and this was done before, a full month before the shootings in Vermont over the weekend. So just information, look, snapshot in time. But what it tells you, I mean, people will poo-poo polls and say, polls, snapshot in time. They'll tell you something, but it's fluid. And they'll tell you where people's thoughts are at for the moment. But that's more than just sticking your finger, in your mouth and, trying to feel the wind. It's helpful. We know what people are feeling, and it gives us something to go on as we go further down the road. So I found it an interesting poll, worthy of talking about, because, now we're in this game, hostages for time. What do we do with the time? Do we get cynical and say, well, they're going to screw up? Hamas is going to rebuild and retrench? Or how do we use this peace? Hopefully in more talks, it'll get us to an ultimate peace. We hope. All right. That's it for me today. Hey, look, check out, if you like 613, check out show 612. I like to direct people to the YouTube, youtube.com/ at Emil Amok 1. Then you can see other things on the channel, like the PETA podcast. So youtube.com/at EMILAMOK1. Also, you can catch it on Facebook, fb.com/EmilGuillermo.media. If you're on Twitter, if you're still on Twitter, I don't know, the antics of Elon Musk, the billionaire formerly known as Elon Musk. I don't know. Do we want to play there in that sandbox? But, you can see my show at Emil Amok is the handle there. And also amok.com if you want to email me. All right. That's it. We're here Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific or thereabouts. Live. Catch it when we're not live. Thank you for joining me. I'd like to end the show with a little meditation. Of course, meditation. Just to open up and do nothing. Actually, a little loving kindness. And the loving kindness begins with self-love. Because, as you show love for yourself, you can better share love with others. And so, as I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. Emil Guillermo here. Till next time. Hey, catch 613. Or this is 613. Catch 612. I'll be repeating them throughout. Till next time. Mahal